Hello, everyone. Damn it. Saturday evening. I couldn't do Wednesday, so I thought I'd pull one on Saturday. I'm going to keep it, just so everyone knows, I'm going to keep it like before 10 o'clock. I'm going to have to finish, because I know quite a few of you, Mr. Steve Perry, if you're there, will be watching Big Clive live tonight. About 10 o'clock he starts, so I'll be done by then. But anyway, tonight, as the bloody hell, as the Mk5 Mondeos are like, well, they're not being made no more, number one, and number two, the Steve's taxi fleet, they've all got a heck of a lot of mileage on them, so they're all coming to the point where they're going to have to be retired pretty soon, probably sooner rather than later. At the moment, it's a case of flinging money at them. They are costing so much, and as the mileage is clocking up and up and up on these cars, we are getting more and more mind-bending bloody problems on them. And a lot of the problems are DPF-related problems, and it's sort of like, flipping heck, we just don't need this headache, because everything, it's not just a case of like something goes wrong with one of these cars, you can just get it in and do it. Sometimes you have to get one of these cars in, and it takes days, if not a best part of a week or more, to get it resolved. So anyway, they're going to have to be replaced, or they're all going to come, or well, the taxi company will come to an end. That would be the other way, you're out of it. But this video tonight is just basically your ideas, what you would have as a taxi, maybe. So I mean, when I'm talking about taxis here, I'm talking about a fleet of like 100 cars or near on. So that's one factor that's got to be taken into consideration here, because it's not just replacing one car. When you've got to replace a whole fleet of cars, 50 or more, it's like, it's a lot of money. So you've got to kind of pick your cars, well, try and find the best possible car for the best price, really. Something that's not going to cost the earth, but something that's also going to do the job and be reliable. So I'll see what your thoughts are. Anyway, let's see who we got. Hello, John. I think go for the Skoda Octavia. Yes. You see, we've just looked at a Skoda Octavia, but the particular model we had, it wasn't the diesel. And the reason we didn't get the diesel is the government. You know, they're trying to steer us away from diesels now. You know, they lied to us back in the 80s when they said diesels are the way to go. Now that diesels are like as clean as they can flipping get, when they're running right, that is, they're telling us not to buy diesels. So it's either petrols, hybrid, or electric. And I'm going to just rule electric out, full stop. Electric doesn't even come into it. Electric car might be good for one person, or unless you've got stinking loads of money, but you know, they just cost too much. And the time they're going to be off the road when they're being charged up, because a lot of the cars that we have at the minute, the diesels, they have two drivers in them. They'll have a day driver and a night driver. You can't do that with an electric car. It's going to have to be laid up at a certain point and charged up. So I'm going to disregard electrics. I'm going to stick to petrols, diesels, and hybrids. But also, as in, I don't know about other counties in England, but a lot of the problem is different councils have different laws regarding taxis. And around here in like Huntingdonshire, I'm pretty sure if you put a car on the road as a taxi, private hire or Hackney, it's got to be like less than 5 years old now. Whereas in the past, you could have pretty much have any age car you liked. Now they've changed all the laws. It's got to be a certain age. So that makes things more complicated, because you've now got to have, if you wanted to buy yourself a car, to buy a car less than 5 years old is not going to be cheap. So, but there again, if you're buying a car as a taxi, you obviously want to buy something that's as new as possible and low mileage as possible. so you can get a good sort of like run to start with before it starts going wrong. Anyway, hello John. Skoda Octavia, probably yes, is a good car. If it was an Octavia, I'd say the diesel version. The one we got was the 1.5 TSI petrol, and nice car. It's a nice looking car. It's very nice inside. I can't really complain about it. Apart from well, put it this way, there's two things here on this car. Number one, I don't know about the engine, how good it is, the turbo and all that, how long it's going to last. Number two, the back axle is kind of like archaic, like horse and cart suspension, and this is just a solid beam across the back. I can't believe what I was seeing when I went underneath that car. But apart from that, the one thing that's getting me about these 1.5 petrol engines in these Octavias is the cam belt. I've never had to change one in one of them cars, but looking at it, I looked at it in auto data, and it's nearly a 5-hour job. You need specialist equipment to do it. It looks an awful long job to do. In fact, I was reading the procedure for replacing the cam belt, and it went on and on and on and on and on. And I got bored flipping reading it. It went on that bloody long, and it gets really technical. So I'm kind of thinking, we don't want to get a car in for a service and have to do a flipping cam belt change that's going to take forever. So obviously, once you've done a few, you sort of like, you find shortcuts, but it seems a bit long-winded and a bit of a complicated timing belt to replace. So that is a definite sort of like a con, not a pro. Hello, Sean. Good evening to you, and good evening to everybody else. Good evening, Steve. How are you? Is it Big Clive live at 10 o'clock? Is that the time he starts his show? Because I don't want to run over into that. So I know quite a few, you will be going to his show, won't you? So, and he's got a lot of people watch him. So I'm going to be done by then. But anyway, good evening, Steve. Hope you're doing well. Hello, Mark. Good evening to you, Mark. Saturday night. By the way, I don't know who it was because I wasn't there. Somebody went up to car sales today and dropped off a bottle of JD. I think it is for Monica, but they give it to me instead. So she don't drink a man's drink. I thought I'd have it. I've now got to bloody cut the lid off. But I wanted to know who dropped it off because there was no note or nothing. If I'd have been there, I'd have known, obviously. But as I wasn't at work today, it was just left. So if you're the person that dropped off the JD, then let me know so I can thank you. But anyway, thanks anyway. I'm going to pour myself a glass. Proper JD. Mustn't forget the ice. Oh yes. That was just good timing as well because I've literally ran out of Jack Daniels. So now that's just replenished my my little supply. There we go. Cheers. Oh, it's got a kick to it, that has. That's nice. Out of all the whiskies I've ever tried, Jack Daniels is the only one I really like. Some whiskies just don't taste right. Hello, Daniel. Good evening from Germany. Hello over there. Deutschland. It's a good thing Angela Merkel's not still about, isn't it? She's not your prime minister no more, is she? Or the person in power over there. I never did like Angela Merkel. I don't even sort of like know who's in charge over there now. But how's it going over there in Germany anyway? But anyway, David, thanks for stopping by. Daniel, I mean, not David, Daniel. Hello, Sam. How are you? Before you laugh, before you begin, JD. Yes, fresh bottle, ready to rock. Well, JD on the ice. How's the old Transit Connect going? Any more problems? Hello, Alan. Did the Skoda make the cut? No, it didn't. No, it will not be Skoda. Well, I think the car itself might be okay, but the engine is kind of like the engine with a timing belt on it. It's like, no, it's going to be too much of a problem. A number of people have said to me, you need at least £3,000 piece of electronic equipment to do these timing belts, and I haven't gone that far with it, but looking at it, I'm kind of thinking this is really like involved. You know, a timing belt, it's like you take the Mark 5 Mondeo, okay? It's so bloody straightforward. You can change the timing belt in like an hour and it's done. Simple. Why do Volkswagen have to make things so bloody technical? Why? What is the point? Is it just that they can have the cars back in their garage so they can charge huge amounts of money to change the belts? I don't know, but no, it didn't make the cut. We will not be getting Skoda Octavias as in the 1.5 petrol engines. That ain't going to happen. Sam, once I have done the oil change on the Transit Connect, I will bring it to you for the alternator. Oh, thanks. That sounds a lovely job. Have you got air conditioning on it? Because if you haven't, that's a good thing, because that makes it easier. I think I've had an alternator off one of them Connects. It's you have to get it from underneath. Yeah. I don't think they're too bad to do. Hello, Mike. Mondeo parts won't dry up suddenly, or will they? No. They'll still keep going for it. As far as I was ever aware, they'll carry on making parts for cars until they're more than 10 years old. So, yeah, no, the Mondeos will, I mean, the cars that are on the road will carry on going for many years to come. That's for sure. I kind of like the Mondeos. I know they're not the best car as a taxi, but you know, over the year, the Mark 4 Mondeo 2-litre diesel was the best car ever we've had as taxis. They were the most reliable. The only glitchy thing about them was the nozzle that squirts the diesel into the DPF blocked up, and you know cause DPF issues. You can get around that and get that done. Apart from that, they weren't bad cars. If they're looked after, they you know, they've really done well. The Mark 5s have a lot of problems, but you know, they've done well. For the years we've had them, they've still done well. It seems a lot worse to me because there's so many of them, and you're getting cars coming in on a daily basis with EGRs and thermostats and all their coolant leaks. It seems like an awful lot. That's just because there's so many cars. But if it was just one car you were dealing, if you just had the one Mark 5 Mondeo you were dealing with as a taxi, it wouldn't be so bad. You'd have one thing go here and there every now and again, and it wouldn't break the bank. Plus, they're a big car. They've got a huge boot in them, bloody, and you know, easily fit 4 passengers in the back with plenty of bags of room to spare. So they've been good. They've done the job. Just the fact that they've got too many miles on them now. So, and by the way, I just want to say hello to Ben. He's the guy with the white Vignale. We put a clutch in a few years back. He had the Vignale estate car. I went over to his the last Saturday morning, Northampton, bought an engine off him for one of the taxis. He was braking an S-Max, and he sold me an engine, and it's lovely. Put it in on the Monday, I'll tell you, no word of a lie. I put this engine in, and this engine just done about over 30,000 miles from new. I turned the ignition key when I was ready to start it up, and about half a revolution of the engine, it fired up, boom, and it was like smooth and quiet, and I'm like, wow, this is fantastic. So yeah, thanks, Ben. £2,000 for an engine. That was still cheap compared to what they're going for at the moment. So, but it was a bloody good engine, especially that mileage. That car, it went into a 65 plate that had done over 300,000 miles. And the car's like a bloody brand new car now. It's just great. Anyway, I better move on. Oh, Power. Welcome from Estonia. Hello, Power. I think Skoda is way to go. Good cars. Yes, I hear a lot of people, they will say the Skoda Superb is the one to get because it's slightly bigger. Bit bland, not as many toys in it. But there again, you don't want, as a taxi, I guess you don't want too much technology in it. You don't want it to be too flash. You just want it to be roomy enough, have a decent sized boot, or if you've got an estate version, that's plenty, I'm sure, and to be reliable and not cost you the goddamn earth in running costs. Plus, obviously, give you good fuel consumption. And I think the Skoda Superb, what a lot of people have pointed out, especially on my last video, is probably the best one of the best ones ever. But there are other options, okay? And the trouble is, it's like, I don't know really. A Skoda Superb would probably be a very good option now, but they're getting a bit. But I believe they brought out quite a newish one, haven't they? Like a 2020. They're bringing one out, so it's going to be sort of like really good. If you've got the money to pay for it, I don't know what it's going to cost. I did get a little list of cars that are possible contenders as taxis, and some kind of what they'll do to the gallon, and well, what they're going to cost basically. And so obviously some of them are going to be sort of like out the window straight away. Sam, in East Lancashire area, we have Skoda Octavia. Yeah, I know the Octavia seems to be a favourite. But this is I bet a lot of them are diesels, aren't they? They're not the petrols. I bet they're the diesel version, the 2-litre diesel. So I don't know what the 2-litre diesel Octavia is like. I should do though, because my sister's got one, but hers is I think it's a 09 plate Octavia. I put a cam belt on it some years back, and she ain't come back for another one, and it's been doing fine. I mean, I know they're good cars. Trouble is, I've not lived with them. That's the problem. I know it's all very well. So a lot of people get an Octavia and they'll have no trouble with it, and it'll be the greatest car ever. But when you've got like 100 of them, then you really sort of like getting a cross reference of what does go wrong with them when they're out there all day and all night, constantly going. So, but yeah, I know Octavias are probably high on the list. Clive starts at 9:05. Okay. Oh well, we'll try and wrap it up before then, because this shouldn't take long. I haven't put a video out this week, so I thought I'd better show my face. You know how it goes. I'm still alive. By the way, the next time I do a live stream, I won't be here. I'm going to be somewhere else. So I'm not going to tell you where I'm going to be until I put the live stream out. So you'll find out next week. Ed, hello. I think the Dacia, I don't know how to spell that. Is it Dacia or Dacia? Joggers seem a good bet. I've not heard of the Dacia joggers. I'd have to look that one up. I know one thing without even looking. It will be a cheap car. But will the cost of that car last in usability? when it starts getting some mileage on it. I'll have to look that up, Ed. I don't know what a jogger's looks like. Hello, Mick. Vetoes. I'll tell you something. You laugh, but my van, if that was like made into like the little minibus version, whatever they call them, travel liners, whatever they are called. My particular 05 plate, if the bodywork was good and they didn't rust like mine rusted, bloody hell, that was sort of like that done all right. That was a really, really good engine. It was a timing chain, so I never had to bother with it. I never had any timing chain issues. The engine just went on and on and on. The only time it played up a bit was when the camshaft position sensor packed up. Apart from that, I wouldn't let a belt come off because one of the guide pulleys broke up, bearings. But that was a Vito van, that 2198cc engine, diesel. It was bloody brilliant. One hell of an engine. Loved it. Very reliable. Look at what the police are using. They use the same criteria. Yeah, but the police don't worry too much anymore about cars, do they? They just sit on the internet looking for hate crimes over Facebook and all that, don't they? Thought crimes. So, yeah, they probably don't need cars anymore, Steve. For hybrid, it has to be Toyota. Well, the Prius. Yeah, I've heard they are like super reliable. But the trouble is with the Prius, let me see. Yeah, there's not a lot to moan about, really, is there? Apparently, they get around about 55 to the gallon, and they're not going to cost the earth either. The trouble is, getting prices over here is probably a bit more difficult. But what's it going to cost for a Prius less than 5 years old? 25 grand for a good one, maybe a bit more. I guess you could get that price down a little bit if you've done a deal. But yeah, for a hybrid, they probably are the way to go. I should think, knowing Toyota, I should think the interior and the dash and all that probably isn't all that much, not that inspiring. But I guess as being used as a taxi, it's probably something that's going to see you and do you well. So I should think that will probably be number one on the list. That will be the top car to get. Hello, Alan. Hyundai Ioniq self-charging hybrid. I've heard that they are pretty damn good. So yeah, don't know what they're like, but apparently they were a big deal for Hyundai. So yeah, it's definitely. Do you know what? It's one of them cars you would literally have to go to the dealer, get hold of one, and go for a ride in it for a week and just drive it around and see what you think. But I think, to be honest with you, that would probably be a good choice for a lot of people. And they're probably not going to cost that much either. What would you pay for I mean, you don't even have to buy these brand new, do you? Even if you bought a good used one, low mileage, you could probably get a good deal in one of them. Because you're not going to pay the earth for a Hyundai, are you? You could probably get one for less than 20 grand if you're lucky. That's used. Yeah. Definite contender, that is. Foxy lad, hello. I'm changing the timing belt on my Mark IV Golf soon. Any tips on doing it? You could. Oh, well, it depends what engine's in it. I've done a few Volkswagens, and I think it's the diesels. They've got an engine mount, okay, that's really hard to get out. Unless you've got the engine jacked really high up, you can get it out. Volkswagens tend to not make things too easy, but if it's a petrol, you'll probably be all right. You're probably best having like auto data or something, one of them books they used to buy that tells you how to change the timing belt so you can go step by step. It is always worth, whenever you're tackling a timing belt, although in the past you used to get your Tipex out and you could just mark the pulleys. It's not always that easy anymore, especially a lot of these, when you take the crankshaft pulley off, the actual sprocket that the cam belt sits on just spins because there's no woodruff key on the crankshaft. So it's always best to get the information first how to do it, so you can read that first, so you've got a good idea of what you're up against. But yeah, I definitely have all the information to hand. Good air gun as well. I should think you'll be okay doing a Golf, but like I say, with a diesel one, you could struggle getting the engine mount off. Not off, but out of the car, out of the bloody way. Because believe me, if you can't get it out of the way, it's going to be in the way and it's going to cause you problems changing the belt. Hello, Dave. Yep, a Hyundai. Yep, Hyundai is definitely a contender. Has to be said across the Filed coast, the Corolla hybrid wagons have taken over, but with the influx of Wolverhampton registered private hires, seems that anything on the table. Yes, indeed. By the way, does anybody know the difference in like taxis? Like, I'll just point this out just in case anybody doesn't know. There's two main types of taxi. You've got your hackneys, which are the ones with the roof light that will say taxi at the front and probably a phone number behind on the roof. They'll be your hackney cabs. They're the ones you can shout from the street. You can say taxi, and you can flag them down and they can stop by the roadside and pick you up. All the other ones are called private hires or mini cabs, and you've got to actually phone and book them up. You're not allowed to flag them down on the street. It's illegal. You've actually got to book them over the phone and then they'll come to you, or you'll go to their office wherever they're based. Mohammed, hello. Whistling whooshy noise in Ford Galaxy 65 plate whilst accelerating. Whistling whooshy noise. Flipping heck. Galaxy. You know, a Galaxy is also a contender for a taxi. Probably not they're getting a bit dated now, Galaxies, so they're still not a bad vehicle. If you want an MPV, they would do the job. They're just not cheap, are they? And I shouldn't think the fuel consumption is going to be great. Yeah. But they're going to be an expensive car to buy. As far as your noise goes, I'm not sure. I'd have to hear it. You'd probably take it to a mechanic and get him to road test it and try and describe the noise. It could be, it could be anything, couldn't it? By that description. I know when you get a lot of, if it's a diesel and you've got a split in the boost hose, as you're accelerating, you'll get like a sucking of air, which could sound kind of like what you're describing. And so that could be that. So that will lead on to worse things. That will lead on to your DPF getting blocked up. Hello, Lonut. Was the Mk5 Mondeo a good car for you? Would you buy it again if they would build a new one? I think if Ford had built a Mk6 Mondeo or would carry on with the Mk5s, then we'd probably carry on with the Mk5 Mondeo or carry on with the Mondeos, because despite all the videos I've put out, listed all the faults, overall, they've still been a good car up to the mileage. I mean, they're all like 300,000. Well, not all of them, but quite a lot of them, over 300,000 miles now. They've done, in all honesty, they've done all right. I'm not that impressed with the amount of faults the Mk5 has got, but especially when it comes to coolant leaks. But for the size of the car, the seating capacity, they just do the job. They're a big, strong car, and with the 2-litre diesel engine, they drive ever so well. You know, you're not. it's no speed machine, but it's no frills there. But it's sort of like it'll do the job as a taxi. So, yeah, they have done all right, and we would carry on with the Mondeos. Unfortunately, they're not building the Mondeos anymore, and Ford don't have anything to replace it. You can't go for Cougars because I don't think Cougars is going to be very good as a taxi. They're too high sort of thing. They need something a bit lower down. You've got to consider all different types of people who have to get in and out, and a lot of people can't step up into a Cougar. I know it sounds silly, but God, I don't even know what I'm saying. Ford Galaxies, we just mentioned, would be very nice, but they're just bloody expensive if you have to buy loads and loads of them. So Ford really don't have an answer. And the Focus, I think, is going to be a bit cramped. And also, as far as the Focus goes, they ain't cheap. For the 1 litre engine, flipping heck, it's still going to cost you the best part of 30 grand for a new one. So Ford just don't have anything in that big saloon car market anymore. It's just not there. Hello, Guy. I would have said the new Insignia, but I've got the old one and I've had nothing but problems with it, which is a shame because the new one's very nice. Yeah, I'm not really a fan of Insignias. It's kind of mixed. I've had some people who have got Insignias and they said they've got a lot of mileage on them and they've had no problems. And then you get other people that have had nothing but problems. And I don't, on a personal note, I don't think Vauxhall have got the quality there anymore. I mean, I used to like Vauxhalls in the past. There were quite some good ones back in the day, but all these modern ones, they just seem to have just haven't got it anymore. They're just using cheaper and cheaper parts of them. And they just seem to cause more problems. Not the build quality just isn't that good. I mean, yeah, it's probably okay, a lot of them for personal car, if you don't do that much mileage. But if they're getting hammered day and night as taxis, it's if something's going to break, it sure is going to break sooner rather than later. DK, I'll just say DK. Hello. Buy some hybrid Toyotas. Yeah, they would probably be the one to get, I know. Whether that's going to happen or not, I don't know. But I know, yeah, the Toyota Prius just seems to be leaps and bounds ahead, and it has been for a long time. Not the most of inspiring cars, though, is it? But it will do the job as a taxi, and that's what really counts at the end of the day. Forget all the fancy gizmos and gadgets. It just needs to be able to seat enough people, at least 4 people comfortably, have enough boot space, and get on with the bloody job without breaking down every 5 minutes. And I think the Prius has long proved that. So, yeah, I would like to get one of them Priuses just to run around for a little while and see what it's like. I've not actually drove one, believe it or not. I think I probably drove one once, and that was from the yard into the garage on the ramp where it went for an MOT, and that was it. Hello, Paul. I've got a 2011 S-Max Titanium Export 240. Can't bear getting rid of it. Do you fancy giving it a full overhaul? Oh, what do you mean by a full overhaul? Just a oil change? 240, yeah. Do you know what? We haven't even got any S-Maxes. I've seen a few. They look all right, actually. They're not a bad looking car. I don't like C-Maxes, though. No. I think an S-Max looks definitely better than a C-Max. So, yeah, it depends what you mean by an overhaul. And I'm going to be away for a month, so not anytime soon. Power. Good evening. Also, what do you think about Yeah, I've never, well, like I just said, I haven't properly drove one. I really don't know much about them, but from what you can read up about them, they're pretty much the one to go for. If you just want them to do a job for you, do it reliably, get you there without breaking down all the time, the Prius seems to be the one to go for. In actual fact, I had a little list. I was going by the Car Wow, their recommendations, and one of them they put was the Mercedes E-Class. That's if you've got a spare 40 grand for each car. This is talking about a used car as well. Well, you could probably get a new one for a good price, but a Mercedes E-Class would be very nice, wouldn't it? I guess if you were just like a one-man band and you wanted a really nice, flashy car to do airport runs in, I guess an E-Class would be just the ticket, because I'm sure the engines in them are pretty well proven engines. So, but yeah, we'll give that a miss though, because it's sort of like you can't buy like a 50, 60 Mercedes E-Classes. It'll cripple you. I have no idea what just went wrong there. I was just playing with the trackpad and it just it went wrong. I'm hoping the audio's still going. I don't even know where we are now. Oh my God. I've even lost where we were. I don't know what happened. The whole thing just flipped out. Have we had this one? Oh yes, that's the insignia. Paul, hello. I've got a 2000 S-Max. Oh, we've done that one. Collie House. Hi, Alan, from Jessica and Leo in the Forest of Dean. Well, hello to you, and good Saturday evening. I hope you've got your drink out. Are you going to watch Big Clive live next at 9:05? And flipping time is getting on already. Thank you for stopping in on the live stream. I thought I'd do one tonight anyway, just because I haven't done nothing this week. Horsham minibuses. Good evening to you. What minibuses do you have? Vin. Good evening. Monica will kill if it's for her. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to pour another JD in a minute because the ice is nearly running out. I fancied a drink tonight, and I never had no JD left. And then some nice person dropped this bottle of JD into the car sales for me. So, brilliant. I'd like to know who you are, because I don't even know who donated this drink. FM. Sold a Mark IV Mondeo Titanium X today after 6 months in stock. Nobody wants them anymore, sadly. Funny you should say that. We have two Mark IV Mondeos. One's a 1.6 diesel and one's a 2-litre diesel, which absolutely flies, and high spec as well. And they've been sitting around for quite a while. So yeah, you're right. But you know the name of the game. If you can wait long enough, someone will come along sooner or later and buy them. You know that's a dead cert. A Tesla. Bloody hell, man. I would like a drive in a Tesla. I really would. I think that'd be quite funny. I want to accelerate off the traffic lights because they go really well, don't they? They sort of like, boom, gone. They're quick, aren't they? But no, not as a taxi. I can just imagine Teslas coming in every 5 minutes with the front end smashed off. Can you imagine when you get a Tesla in an accident? And believe me, we have a lot of accidents as taxis, a lot of accidents. Flipping bumpers on and off all the flipping time. Can you imagine a Tesla that's been in an accident? I've heard some funny stories. You really don't want to be smashing up a Tesla. They get a bit funny about it, don't they? Anthony, and how about a Toyota Auris? Auris, probably, well, it's an option, isn't it? I think any Toyota's pretty damn reliable vehicles, aren't they? So, I don't know. It's always a possibility. I don't. There really isn't sort of. The trouble is, it's like a lot of this. Steve's Taxis has always had Fords. He's just been a Ford man. So he's just always bought the Fords, and it's not just that. He's always been in with the salesman, so he's always been able to cut a good deal, and he gets his tax back and all that, and he's been able to buy new cars and get a hell of a discount on them. But that's all gone now. That's all out the window. So now whatever gets bought is going to cost, and it's going to cost dearly. So I don't know what the price of an Auris is without looking it up, but and I can't even comment on an Auris because I don't know what they're like. All I can say is, as Toyotas go, they're pretty reliable. So possibly it's one of them things we'd have to sort of like get one and give it a good run around for a few weeks, see what we think, and then look into the ins and outs of it. What's it going to cost to maintain? Yeah. Well, thanks anyway. Sean from Norfolk Road. I was sort of thought it was Norfolk for a minute. Norfolk Road. Flipping heck. You're how far away are you from me? Norfolk Road. 500 yards, probably, something like that. Well, hello up there in Norfolk Road. I sometimes walk past Norfolk Road because I sometimes walk from here. I'm in Beaton Crescent, which is in Morehouse Drive. I walk from here up to Tesco's quite often, especially when the weather's good, because I don't like. I'm one of these people. I like to walk about a lot when it's sunny. I don't always take the car. Yeah. Hello, John. Hope you're well. Plus having a nice weekend. Good. The weather's a little bit cold still, isn't it, over here? When the sun comes out, it's not bad. But then the bloody sun goes behind the cloud and it's cold again. And the flipping rain we've had. Do you know the rain we've had last week? And you can tell it's rained heavy overnight when you're on the way to work and there's massive, great big puddles everywhere. Silverback. Hey, hello. Skoda Superb. I think the Superbs were probably one of the best cars to get as a taxi. Apart from the proper black cabs, the Skoda Superb, from what I've heard, is one of the best cars you could possibly ever have. If it was the diesel version, you wouldn't probably go far wrong. They can do horrendous mileages. And it's the slightly bigger car, isn't it? It's the bigger than the Octavia, a bit bigger. So You get more room for the passengers and luggage and all that. So yeah, Octavia diesel. The only downside is this, I keep saying the government are steering people away from buying diesels. But there again, think about it. If you had the money and you went out and you bought yourself a fully electric car, in 2025, they're going to start taxing you on your electric car. So while they're saying you've got a zero emission car, even though it costs tons of emissions to actually build that car, if you're driving this so-called zero emission car, you haven't got to pay tax or anything, road tax. Yet in 2025, you will. The government are going to start charging you. I don't know how they're going to get around that one, but they're going to say to you, well, by the way, you've been told that you're saving the planet with your green zero emission car, but fuck you, mate. We're going to start charging you tax anyway. So there you go. That's the government. So electric probably is not the best way to go. It might be right now, but in 2025, whatever they start to charge is going to be a bit of a kick in the balls to all those people who spent the money and bought an electric car, really, isn't it? Anyway, hello, Michael. Hydrogen cars are the only way forward. If you can find one, that is. I could probably find a hydrogen JCB. We could use them. But yeah, that's what they should be building. They should be putting more technology into hydrogen cars. You know, that would be low emissions, wouldn't it? Genevieve. Alan, why my Mark 5 2-litre TDCi power shift engine vibrates at idle and is noisy, and during DPF regen is a totally another car. Very, very smooth and silent engine. Oh, engine vibrates at idle and is noisy. I've said this before. We've had a lot of these 2-litre diesels, and some of them are kind of quite, even the low mileage ones are kind of noisy, and it's like, flipping heck, what the hell's wrong with this car? And there's nothing actually wrong with it. It's just they haven't been built to the correct tolerances when they come out of the factory. They're a little bit rattly, where other ones are smooth and quiet. And I think a lot of it is down to the, and you can code the injectors, and it makes no bloody difference. It's just the way they are. When they build these cars, they have the machines set to make all the components for the engines and that. And as the machines go out of their tolerance, as they get to the end of the line, after so long, they have to reset the machines. Well, I guess some of these engines are built where the tolerances were out a little bit before they reset them. So I'm probably talking bullshit here, but it's kind of like a lot of our 68 plates are just shit, really. They're rattly, noisy things, and the 65s plates, and some of them are really quiet. They're really nice engines. So I think it's just the way they've built some of them. Anyway, I'm going to move on. Otherwise, I'll have to make a complete video on this subject, and I'll bang on all night about it. Stephen, hope you're well. I'm doing okay, actually. Now I've got my JD. I'm doing fine. Thank you, Stephen. Oh, what's gone on there? Hello, Bill. Canada. Oh my God. Oh, you're a long way away. How's my mate Justin Trudeau? You know, that woke prick. I tell you what, I'll be glad when he's gone. All I hear is Justin Trudeau done this and Justin Trudeau done that. We're not allowed to use man and woman anymore. We've got to use people. He's bloody woke twat, isn't he? I don't like him. I think Canada's a fantastic country. You had all the truckers out, didn't you? All the truckers protesting. Good on them. Over his bloody mandates, trying to keep everyone locked down. Right, I'm going to pour another JD, but hello, Bill. Good to hear from you, especially from over in Canada. The whole idea tonight was to have a drink, have a live stream and have a drink. So I hope you got your beers out. I haven't got no Beck's beers. I'm having to settle for the JD that's been donated to me by some kind person. Go on. There. Oh, and also, if you shop in Iceland, you see these here, apple strudels. They are so frigging yummy with custard, cold custard. But even Iceland is getting expensive now. But them strudels are a must. Oh, look at that. Right, where are we? Hello, John. This ULEZ ultra low emission zone, that's what it is, isn't it? Is going to put so much taxi. Yes, because you've got these little puppets like what's his name, Khan, in bloody London, and you know that Nazi Nicola Sturgeon. He's another one. I'm glad she's bloody gone. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. They're going to put businesses out. You know they're going to kill businesses. They're going to put so many people out of work. It's stupid. It's absolutely stupid. They're cutting down trees to make flipping cycle lanes, making cycle lanes and cutting down trees to save the planet. You're dealing with idiots these days, absolute idiots. Unfortunately, it's the idiots that seem to be the ones getting in power, isn't it? You know something? I was saying to someone the other day, years ago, when I had my Mk5 Ford Cortina, I could go to work, I could come home in the evening, Thursday evening, I could jump in my car with a girlfriend and we could drive down to London. We could go for a whiz round the West End and then come back home. No problem. There is zero. That's how much chance there would be today of me ever doing that again. You just can't do it. You've got to pre-plan ahead. You've got to pay for if you're going to enter the low emission zone. It's so much bollocks you've got to deal with. You just puts you off. If you want to go to London now, what do? You go to a pay and display car park on the outskirts, then catch the train into London because it's too much hassle driving in London. Or you're going to get charged. You're going to get charged a stupid fee to go down there to a certain part if you go into this ultra low emission zone. I think they need to stop it. And then there needs to be enough protests to actually stop this, or people getting into I don't know. Somehow they need to sort of like put an end to this crap because it's getting out of hand. They're all doing it to save the planet, and it's not. It's not saving fuck all. That's the problem. You know, when you look at the grand scheme of things, the UK puts out approximately 1% of the world's CO2. So if the UK was to disappear off the face of the goddamn map right now, it's not going to make goddamn any difference, is it, to the world's CO2 output? So all this cities and councillors with sticks up their arse wanting to make ultra low emission zones here, there and everywhere, they're doing nothing. All they are doing is causing poverty for people, and they're putting people out of business and causing people to lose their jobs. That's all they're doing. but they can't see it, can they? So, hello, Mark. Skoda Octavia. The suspension is nothing like the Mondeo or the Seats, and there's no cruise as standard. Yeah. Well, who needs cruise control? You need to be in control. Your trouble with cruise control, you might fall asleep while you're driving. I personally think taxis shouldn't have nothing fancy in them. They should be standard. You know, steering wheel, brake pedal, clutch, and a throttle pedal, and that's about all you need. Oh, maybe. Well, okay. Today, at least give it a little sat nav so you can have Google Maps or something, so you can navigate your way around. Because I do understand it's hard to find where you're going these days. Years and years ago, you would have to take the test called the knowledge, wouldn't you? Especially in London. So you would, taxi drivers used to have to sort of like really have to be clued up on where they were and where to go. But no, taxis should be sort of like as basic as possible. They're there to do a job, not to be sat around in some puffy chair with bloody 1,000 gadgets around you, distracting you. Someone did point out on my last video, I haven't responded to it yet, but he was saying, you've got this car we had, the Skoda Octavia 1.5. You've got this big, like, multimedia screen. And he's saying you're not allowed, it's illegal to use your mobile phone while you're driving. Yet you've got this multimedia screen sat in the middle of your dash with all these functions on it, which even controls your heated seats and stuff like that. And I mean, you're probably constantly looking over to this. It's just slightly to the left. So you're not going to be looking at the road while you're looking at your multimedia screen. So it's questionable, really, isn't it? It's a big distraction while you're driving. Anyway, I shan't get any more into that. Bartos, hello. How are you? Good evening. What is the time? I think this is going to run on a bit longer. Where's Mr. Perry? I know you can flick over to Big Clive Live. I wasn't going to keep this live stream going for too long, but I think we've come to the conclusion that the Toyota Prius would probably be a car to seriously have a good look at. Even though it's a hybrid, it will have its advantages with that electric motor, so you can silently crawl around a few corners in the ultra low emission zones and get away with it. Interceptor, hello. Skoda Superb would be a big step up from the Mondeo. As a Mark 5 owner, I can't believe how much better the Superb is. Yes, I've heard the Superb is probably one of the top cars to get as a taxi. So, yes, as we had have one of the Octavias, the Superb is a bit bigger, isn't it? The Octavia would probably be maybe, I don't know, it was not bad, but I think the Superb has got a bit more room inside and a much bigger boot. So, yeah, yes, totally agree. Without even driving one, I'm going by what I've heard from so many people now. The Skoda Superb is probably one of the top contenders. Hello, Bill. Oil filter 2-litre TDI Mark IV Mondeo, not good to change. Or do you know why? It's because you haven't got the tool to do the job. That's why. We have got this spanner, and it's like it goes like that, along like that, down, and like it's a C-shaped spanner, big one. Big bloody metal, you hold it like that, and you put your ratchet in the top, and you put it in, and you can undo the oil filter a little bit at a time. But once you've loosened it, you can just put this C spanner on it and turn it. But if you haven't got that spanner, that special spanner, then you need a really a really short 27mm spanner, about that long. You can fit down there. Yes, they're an absolute nightmare to get to. But if you've got the right spanner for it, they're a piece of piss. So we bought the correct spanner for it. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. They're in the right pig of a place. Hello, Mark. Ford don't make anything I would buy now. No, and I've said this many a time. I have to drive past a Ford garage every day I go to work. And whereas in the past you had all these nice different cars, different, shapes and that, now they all look the same. Everything looks like blurs into one. So I don't even look anymore. There's nothing interesting. That's the whole point. Variety is the spice of life, they say. And there just isn't any variety. Unless they had a Ford Raptor, that would be a bit different, wouldn't it? But they don't, do they? They only have Rangers. Power. Hybrid Auris Touring initially was the cost and size of the vehicle, a combination which makes for the perfect taxi. The incredible boot space is really helpful for airport and train station runs. Yes, it's one of them cars I don't really know about, but I'm kind of digging it. I know with Toyota, you're probably going to get something that's going to be pretty damn reliable. Urban Gentry, hello. 8:20 timestamp. Bloody hell. I'm 40 minutes behind, for God's sake. So it's now 9:02. So in exactly 3 minutes' time, don't tell me nobody's going to be on this channel. There's going to be 0 people watching. 0. You're all going to be over to Big Clive Live, aren't you? Well, I don't want this one to run too long anyway. So it's not that very good a subject anyway. I just thought I'd put out this for tonight anyway. Just to sort of like show my face, so I haven't put a video out. Hopefully I'll put a video out next week, but it won't be about cars probably. It'll probably be about something else. So watch this space. Hello, Mark. Superb. Got loads of wasted space in unnecessary legroom. John, whoever buys electric cars needs a kick in the stones. Yeah. Well, the trouble is, there are people, whoever can afford an electric car is the problem. Well, it's not really the problem. It's just that electric cars will suit some. There's people out there that have got the money and they can buy an electric car because they do look very nice, don't they? They look quite flash. And these people can afford probably their own charging point at their house. They've got a garage, no doubt, and they've got their own charging point. They've got their electric car, and the car will do for them what they need it to do. Easy. The problem is what annoys me, is that these electric cars, right, well, I won't go into what it costs to build them, but they're being advertised as zero emission cars, which they don't give out no emissions apparently, and you don't pay tax on them. But now in 2025, you will have to pay tax on them, and we don't know how much that's going to be. So the government have lied yet again. So, they're going to start charging you anyway, even if you've got an electric car. So you think you're doing the right thing. Some people actually do believe they're doing the right thing. They're trying to save the planet or be environmentally green or whatever they want to be to have one of these cars. And now you're being told you're going to be taxing them anyway. It's a bit of a kick in the arse for those people. I know the people who can afford electric cars can probably afford it anyway, but it's the principle of the matter. It's just the sheer brazenness of the bloody government just taking the piss. Anyway, Silverback. Yep. You can't go wrong with a London cab. Right, Condor. They're expensive though. They're expensive, but you get what you pay for. They are the real deal, the real McCoy. Sean, why not go Peugeot or Citroen route if same diesel engine in them? Well, you could do. I think I'd steer clear of Citroen, you know. They're just overcomplicated. I know Citroens have always been sort of like a bit out there, quirky and all that, but they're just too overcomplicated. Even Peugeots now, they're kind of like, I'll tell you what kills it. The amount of electronics in all these cars. It's all very nice, isn't it, when these cars are new and you've got all these electronics all over the bloody place. So many things they do. But boy, oh boy, when they start to go wrong and they cause your car problems that you can't drive it properly, that's when it starts to take a dump. And that's not what you want as a taxi. So, yeah. But yeah, no, it's a fair point. There are Peugeot and Citroen alternatives out there. What do you think about Vauxhall Insignia first generation? I've already said basically, I don't think their build quality is there. I think they've used a lot of cheaper materials to build these cars, and I'm not struck on the Insignias. I mean, quite a lot of them have got the Italian engine, haven't they? The diesel Italian engine, which is, I guess it's not that bad really, but I'm never been into Vauxhalls, not on this more modern generation. So I think when the Vauxhall Vectra B came out back in the 90s, we had the choice of the Mondeos, the Mark 1 Mondeos or the Vectra Bs. We had a car of each, and we chose the Ford over the Vectra, and we've never looked back. We've always gone with the Fords after that. So I don't know. I have some Vectras in the Vectra Cs and Insignias and that, and I think when they come in with their bloody problems and you have to try and find the faults in them, it's like, and I've had some Insignias in with so many bloody problems. It's like, bloody hell, I'm not keen on these. I'm glad these aren't taxis. And you notice these Insignias, just to change the oil filter. Have you seen where the oil filter is? Bloody hell, on the diesel version. It's up. It's in such a place that it will piss oil all over your subframe and everywhere just to change the bloody oil filter. It's a right messy, horrible job, and it's like it just puts you off. So I'm not a fan of Insignias, unfortunately, and that is the first generation. Yeah. No, I don't think. I think it's too late to ever go back to Vauxhall. Well, go to Vauxhall at all, really, now. You swap into electric now with Ford wiping the model range. No, we won't go electric. I think before we went to the business would be gone. Would have to fold. That'd be the end of it. Just dismantle the business and do something else. Electric is too expensive. It just costs too much. Electric would be okay if it was just your car and you've got to look after it. But when you've got a whole fleet of the things and you've got drivers in them that are out there to make as much money as they can, a lot of the drivers, they're not the best quality drivers. You're on dicey ground with electric cars, I'm sure. So electric is just a big no-no. I was using Octavia with knackered electric water pump for 2 years, just keeping interior fan on low. Oh, well, that's handy to know. I shouldn't think it's a cheap job to change electric water pump. Saringio. I'm interested in buying a Toyota Corolla, but the catalytic converter been stolen on them, so I think the Volkswagen Arteon would be my next taxi. Well, you've got to watch out because a lot of the cars, they're after the cats, aren't they? They even do these kits you can buy to put over the cat to try and protect them, but what good that's going to do, I'm not really sure. No, yeah, there's certain people after the cats, especially on Honda CRVs and stuff like that, especially the ones a little bit higher up. They can slide underneath and chop the cat off, no problem. Yeah. Interceptor. Wouldn't bother with Toyota Corolla estates. We have them locally as taxis. There is literally no rear leg room. Absolutely terrible for taller rear passengers. Yeah, well, this is the problem. This is the thing. It's being able to find a particular car that's going to have plenty of boot space, be able to fit. If it's just a 4-door saloon or a 4-door estate, being able to have enough room to fit 4 passengers comfortably with plenty of headroom and legroom, and also be economical and have a reliable engine, or be a general reliable car overall, which seems to be a harder and harder thing to do these days, because whatever cars they're making them ever so more complicated, electrically that is, in a lot of cases. They seem to want to bolt more and more crap onto them, especially the emission systems. So finding a car that's going to be simple enough and straightforward enough and have the room for your luggage and your headroom and your legroom is becoming a bit of a task. But as people have pointed out, the Skoda Superb, if you can deal with the badge, Skoda. Do you know something? I don't mind Skodas. I actually really don't mind them. I think they're good cars. But the one thing that puts me off the Skoda is the badge. You know, it looks, although it's it's an arrow with wings on it. It looks like a bird's head, doesn't it, with a little eye? That's what it looks like from a distance. If they'd made us like a better looking badge, it wouldn't have been so bad. But in the video I done when we done the jokes, because you remember if you go back many years when the Estelle came out, there was loads and loads of Skoda jokes. So I remember all them jokes from years ago. It's kind of stuck, even though the Estelle wasn't really that bad a car. That was the rear engine car. I like the wheelbarrow. Oh my God. For me, a Skoda has always been a joke. But obviously these days, they're Volkswagen influenced and all that. They're a hell of a lot better. And I know. Anyway, let me move on. Gareth, like I said before, Morris Minor, mate, just keep on going. You know what? It would, if it was a Morris Minor Traveller, at least it would have the room for the luggage to take to the airports. The only problem is you might not actually get to the airport. With that pea shooter exhaust, it'd probably get blocked up. Yes, I never. The guy who had his Morris Minor as his first car never did get back to me. How he managed to get that car as his first car. You don't have a Morris Minor as your first car. You street cred, no. You're not going to pull no birds with Morris Minor. That's for sure. You've got to be at least over 65. Not the Prius, whatever they want to call it. Well, I've heard they're very good. So it depends what the downside is. This is the thing. You'd have to spend some time looking at the pros and cons and actually drive one. To be honest with you, actually get one from the dealer and drive it around and see what you think. GA. Lots of Toyota Prius Corolla as taxis in Germany. Yeah, this is the thing. I keep hearing this though. Is Toyota is the way to go. Prius, Auris. I mean, Prius was the hybrid. They were way ahead of the competition, weren't they? So they can only get better, I should imagine. Black cabs. Yeah. Trouble is they're too expensive because they're the proper taxis. They're just too expensive. If you only had to buy one or two, but if you had to buy like 70, 80 or more, that's what the problem is. They just cost too much money. But yeah, they are the real deal. Hello, Rob. How long will the batteries last in hybrids? That is a good question. No, I bloody dear. I should imagine they'll probably last, off the top of my head, 15 years. Okay, 10 to 15 years then. By which time you would have got rid of them anyway. So you could argue that if you bought a hybrid and the battery was going to last between 10 to 15 years, you could say to yourself, I won't be having that car after that time as a taxi anyway. I'll have replaced it with something else, which will probably be a good point. Then it won't be so much of a concern. If it was to last 5 years, which is a possibility, then it could be a bit worrying because it's going to be expensive. Has Steve got the hybrid training? Nope. Zero hybrid training. Absolute zero. We know about diesels. That's what we know about. Diesel engines. Don't know anything about hybrids. Metal worker, hello, good evening. Why didn't you make a deal for more Mondeos before they finished production? I'll tell you why, exactly why. Because there was a company that was going to buy the taxis. That's why. So that's why more cars were not looked into. And after nearly 2 years, it's all fallen through. It's all fallen the hell through. So that's why they weren't looked into. We were led up the garden path by a company that was going to buy the taxi company and then pulled out. So that is why. Time wasters. Tire kickers is what they were. and now we're left with 100 bloody cars that are breaking down every 2 freaking minutes because they got so much goddamn mileage on them. It's a flipping nightmare trying to keep them going. I'll tell you something. One evening I'm going to come out and I'm going to start banging on about all the problems we're getting with these taxis. I mean, I have made videos on all the basic problems you get with them, But believe me, you ain't seen jack shit yet when I come out with some of these other problems we're getting. So I think I will do that later. The more mileage these cars get, the more ridiculous the problems get. So, anyway, I'm getting half cut as well now. That's why I'm laughing so much. But Silver Claude is. I've just plated my is that a 64 BMW X1. Hopefully, it will prove a good decision. BMWs are like computers on wheels. So I think if you have it serviced religiously and have I would use genuine parts as well, make sure it's looked after. If you don't service BMWs, they'll go wrong. So keep it looked after. That's all I can say. Keep that service book stamped up. And if you can afford to have it serviced at BMW dealership, then do so. Or have somebody who, maybe a third-party company who knows what they're doing with BMWs. They are highly electrical. I have done the timing belt kit on my Skoda Octavia, and it also has got a new auxiliary belt plus water pump. Yes, well, that's the big job out of the way, isn't it? You know, once that's done, you can relax, and anything else is just minor. Once your cam belt's done, no problem. You know, that's why I like engines with timing chains, because you haven't got to bother. If you get an engine with a good, decent timing chain set up, that chain will last the life of the engine, and you've got to worry no more. But oh my God. Do you know, I didn't touch this track. Suddenly everything just shrunk smaller. So I'm like, I didn't touch anything in case I messed something up, you know. Corrigine. 20k you can buy a house up north for not much more in certain areas. Yes, so think the electric MGS are popular with taxi. I've heard about these Chinese MGs, that they are. I didn't actually put that on my list tonight because it's just like sheer principle of the Chinese Communist Party. I don't want to buy nothing off them. But yeah, I dread to think how much they will last, because you know what the Chinese are like when they build stuff. It's always been a long, well, it's not even a joke. It's a fact, isn't it? Chinese is cheap. They build massive amounts of stuff cheaply and it falls apart. If you buy Japanese, you're buying quality. Look at all the lens companies for cameras. Japanese, it's high quality. China, it's low quality stuff. So the MG, and I've already had a rant about this. I think it's disgusting, actually, that the Chinese Communist Party, have got. I know everything's under control by the CCP. You see, you know, MG was British. It was a British brand. Now the bloody Chinese have got it and fobbing it off as theirs. It's not the same. The cars are obviously totally different now. They don't look anything like the original MGs, but it's not the point. When MG were finished, they should have just died as a British company, not be revamped by a Chinese Communist Party. So anyway, I'm going off on one now. So anyway, what was the question? A popular, yeah. Yeah, well, it's like China's got his fingers in all the pies, hasn't it? I won't be getting a Chinese MG, that's for sure. Don't care how good they are, it's principle. But yeah, I guess if they work for you, I don't know what they're like though. I shouldn't think they'll last too long and they'll be falling apart. Rob, I've seen a Prius HV battery go to over 200,000 miles. Oh, that's not bad, is it? That ain't bad at all for a battery. Adam, would a Mercedes E-Class work for a replacement? A Mercedes E-Class would be bloody lovely, wouldn't it? I would quite happily have a Mercedes E-Class. They look bloody lovely. They're flash, aren't they? They weren't ever meant to be taxis, but they kind of like, people are buying them as taxis. If you can afford them, though, they're not cheap. Mercedes-Benz, nice cars, bulletproof engines, very good. If you can afford it, that is the problem. Hello, Rob. At Alan Cobbin, 200k in a taxi is like 4 years in a taxi. Then how much is it? Well, you can answer that one. Honda E. Apparently, Wolverhampton Council are supposed to be the most efficient at issuing plates and licenses. I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something here right now. We had some of our cars plated to work in Wolverhampton, and for some reason, the testing centre over there, they started failing our cars for the most stupidest of things. Like, I'm talking about small little dents. I mean, I'm not talking about huge, I'm talking about tiny little dents on the doors that were irrelevant. They were failing them on these tiny little dents to the point where it's like, forget it. Let's just scrap the cars from Wolverhampton altogether and not even take them over there no more. Just bring them back over here. They're just being arseholes. So that was our Wolverhampton experience gone. Silver Cloud. We also have a Mark 5 Mondeo, 150k on the clock, and it's just cost us a fortune. New clutch and gearbox. And a gearbox. What the bloody hell went wrong with the gearbox at 150k? I would like to know. Gearbox rebuild due to jumping out of first gear. Have you ever experienced? Yes, I have. Oh, yes, I bloody have. I have had a Mark 5 Mondeo jumping out of first gear. You know, sometimes you have to question, is it just like the parts in these gearboxes are just not quite right from new? Or is it the driver? We don't know. But I can take them gearboxes apart like easy. They've got to be one of the easiest gearboxes I've ever had to work on. You can replace the first gear synchro hub and first gear, no problem. I know when you take it to a gearbox centre, it's going to seriously bloody cost you. I understand that. But for someone like me, who, you know, we're just fixing company cars, we just pull the gearbox out, rip all the gears out of it, change the bits in it and put it back together, and it's back again running in a day, no problem. But obviously, I know it's going to cost you a fortune. Yeah. Yes, I have experienced it, and there's not a lot you can do about it, is there? Because once the synchro hub, the little teeth get chewed off. Even if you put it in first gear and held the lever in first gear and tried to pull away, it will still jump. It will still go and growl at you, make a right noise. It makes me wonder if it's worth even buying a second-hand gearbox. Would be cheaper than having a rebuild done. Because I can tell you, to rebuild the first gear, if you had the first gear jumping out, whether it's jumping out first gear, it's going to cost you in parts for that gearbox, a new synchro hub and a new first gear. So you're probably looking at, if I said £200 for the parts, then all it is rest of its labour, isn't it? For someone to take the gearbox out of the car, strip it and change them parts. So, yeah, it's going to cost you the best part of £1,500 or maybe more, probably £2,000. So yeah, it's not a common thing though. I will say having the first gear jumping out is it's not common. Normally on them gearboxes, it's either second or third gear. They crunch going in through the gears. That's due to high usage, or sometimes you don't put your foot down on the clutch properly and you change gear and you kind of graunch the gears and it takes the teeth off the synchro hubs and the gear. Anyway, I better move on. Todd, Toyota Corolla hatchback. I think they're probably too small, but Corolla, Toyota. Rob at Silver Clouds, how much? John, where I stay, there's a local taxi firm still using Mark IV Mondeos and a couple of Picasso. Picasso. I don't think Picassos are the strongest of cars to use. At least the bodywork's to be pretty good. Yeah, I've never been a fan of a Picasso. Oh my God. Believe it or not, we're still using Mark IV Mondeos. We still have some. And they're still going. Apart from one, which seems to have developed an ECU issue, which I'll probably go into later. David. Aline. I can't even spell that. Ford Galaxy 2-litre TDSI. No, it's all in foreign. I'm not Polish or whatever it is. Paul and Fiona. Hello, Paul. How are you doing? Good evening to you. What have I been missing? Just tuned in here. You probably haven't missed much. We've just been all like debating what could be a good replacement for a Mondeo Mark V as a taxi. And it seems to be Toyota Prius, Skoda Octavia or Skoda Superb, Mercedes E-Class if you're a bit flash and you've got the money. Volkswagen Touran is one that no one's mentioned yet, which could be on the list, although could be problematic. Hyundai Ioniq, which is a possibility, and what else? Ford Galaxy, bit expensive though. Yeah, yeah. You really haven't missed a great deal, that's for sure. I only put this live stream out tonight, one, to get drunk, and two, just to talk about what would replace the Mark V Mondeo, as all our fleet are sort of like getting really old and breaking down all the time and cause no end of bloody problems now. The Mondeo Mark Vs I'll tell you what, up until I would say 150,000 miles, possibly 200,000 miles, they were great. There wasn't really that much in the way of problems at all. But now they're getting over 300,000 miles and more. We're getting all sorts of problems. And there comes a point where you've just got to let go of that car. You've got to say, we need to replace it. Alan, will removing the swirl flaps of death on a Mark III Mondeo 1.8 Duratec affect the running of the car? It won't really affect the running of the car, but I tell you what it will do, which will piss you off. It will cause you much higher fuel consumption. And when I say higher fuel consumption, I mean higher fuel consumption. So unless you can get yourself another manifold with some good swirl flaps in it, then I would do that rather than remove them. So just be aware that the fuel consumption will significantly go up. I can't even bloody say words now. I've had too much JD. No idea. They are only a very small battery, so perhaps a few grand, maybe. Who knows? That's a hybrid battery. I have no idea what a hybrid battery costs. Never changed one either. So I'm in limbo land there. 300k miles. How much has the car made? At Rob Evans, £1,400. They did both first and second gear plus a couple of bearings for £1,400. That sounds about right, you know. This is the thing. If you can do a repair on a gearbox yourself, if you've got the time and the facilities to jack your car up, pull the gearbox out and fix it yourself, then all you're doing is paying for the parts. But I guess to have your gearbox done for £1,400, and did you fit a clutch and flywheel at the same time? Because that would have bumped the price up. Ford Mondeo Mark 5 2-litre diesel, power shift, 120,000 kilometres, engine shaking, cold starting, idle not stable. What can be done? What can be? Well, it could be flywheel. I mean, we have had some with pretty low mileage. I mean, your kind of mileage, the flywheel could well be worn out. When the flywheels are out of shape, they're a bit like they go like an egg shape, don't they? When the bearing on the flywheel goes, the whole car could shake. I'll tell you what, one good way to know: if you lift the bonnet up and have the engine running at tick over, if the bonnet edge is like flapping like that, you can pretty much say that the flywheel's knackered and you have to replace it. Yeah, when them flywheels get worn out, they can make the whole car shake. So and make it run really bad. Terrible. £300k probably taken £400,000. Clouds, my Golf TDI 2005, 190k, just had a clutch and Dumas flywheel, 850, but gearbox still fine. Interceptor, my Mark 5 Mondeo, I've had since new. It's not a taxi, just a commuter family car. We have recently ordered a Passat estate, as Ford don't make anything worthy or replacing them on. No, they don't, do they? No. The only thing they've got is a Cougar or a Galaxy, and they're probably not in the same category. Dave, been in plenty of high mileage Dacia taxis in Europe and Turkey. Most use the 1.5 Renault. Oh my God. Do you know something? Anything to do with Renault, I'm kind of like, no, don't want to know. I do not like Renault engines. Forget it. Don't care how good they are. Don't like Renault. They're bloody sodding things to work on. They may be good, but I don't like them. Too much aggravation. Kia? Don't know. Do not know. Mazda 6, although they have stopped making them. Yeah, well, that's the problem, isn't it? It's got to be like 5 years, no older than 5 years. Because a lot of these councils are now dictating how old your car can be as a taxi. I switched from a Mark 5 Mondeo to a new hybrid Camry, a Toyota Camry. It's boring as hell, but extremely reliable. There's nothing going wrong with it. In many countries, they use them as, yeah. Well, that's it, isn't it? You don't want all the flash stuff. You don't need it. If a taxi, it's there to do a job. It's there to earn you money and cost you as least money as possible. So if it's boring, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter, does it? You're not there to sit in a plush car with all the fancy gadgets around you. You're there to make. It's there to make you money. That's all it's there to do. It's a tool to do a job. So and Toyotas do seem to be the name to go for, doesn't it? Oh, what have I just done? Nothing. Small cars difficult for people to get in and out. Feel the bumps more. No good in bad crashes. No, you need something fairly roomy inside, didn't you? Especially for tall people and all their luggage. My 2005 Golf TDI gets 60 miles to the gallon average. That's not bad. That's pretty good. Unfortunately, a Golf is too small for a taxi. Well, you could use it as a taxi, I guess, but it wouldn't be. You'd need something a bit bigger, really, to be more practical. And the boot space, that's the problem. But 60 miles to the gallon is not bad for a diesel. The Toyota Corolla that I was thinking to buy was through Rent to Buy company. They do £199 per week, service and parts included. And after 3.5 years, you own the car. Is it good deal? £199 a week. If that was a month, then maybe it was a good deal. It sounds a bit pricey to me. So what's that? £800 a month? Nah, I wouldn't say that's a good deal. Not for a Toyota Corolla, it isn't. Do you know, for £199 a week, I would want a Mercedes E bloody class, not a Toyota Corolla. So no, it's not a good deal, not at all. I'd definitely look elsewhere. I'll tell you something, keep your options open. Don't jump at whatever salesman tries to spit at you, because they're all trying to make money out of you. I would keep your options open, spend as much time as you possibly can looking at the alternatives. And you'll probably find that this here, what you're saying, they're trying to rip you off. I bet you. That's too much money. Not really economical buying new for taxis anyway. Should change policy and buy secondhand. Maybe it's a VAT problem. Well, you see that the problem is, for my boss, he used to get a lot of tax off, and you know, you could buy a Mondeo, a brand spanking new Mondeo before the pandemic for top of my head, somewhere around about 17 grand, I think, for a brand new car. You can't get that now. So he had a lot of kickbacks. So that's why he had brand new cars. But that's all gone. That's all gone now. So maybe second-hand cars, ones with low mileage, would be a better way to go. Default gaming. Oh, that sounds interesting. Switch back to the Mondeo Mark IV. Got the clutch and flywheel replaced last week at 270,000 kilometers. Still drives like a charm. Anyway, default gaming. What's your favorite video game of all time? That's what I want to know. because I can tell you something. I'm going to make a video. I'm going to make a live stream later on all-time favourites of your video games, which mine, by the way, it should be Grand Theft Auto 3, but it's not. It's Manhunt. And I've just found a PS2, PlayStation 2 in the bottom drawer of the kids' room, which I've had for I don't know, probably about 16 years. And I had to buy a SCART connector with the component, the three red, white, and yellow jack plugs in it, this little SCART plug connector. I had to buy one of them, and I had to buy a PS2 controller, which has cost me the best part of £20. And that PS2 is up and running now, and it plays Manhunt. You know, the original Manhunt game, which I will show in my next when I do this live stream. So I'm going to have a go at Manhunt again. That is my game of all time. So bring it on. you know Starkweather, the guy in Manhunt, when he's talking to James Earl Cash, when he goes to his guys, he goes, "Go on, boys, send him to hell." Oh my God! I'll tell you something. I'm going to do a gaming live stream one day, pretty soon actually, and it's going to be fucking awesome. I'm telling you. Seen Uber Tesla in Manchester. Oh well, someone's going to do it, isn't there? Weren't they? Someone's going to jump in with a bloody electric car. The Mark IV Mondeo has the wet belt issue. Maybe that's why no one wants them. No, it was only the 1.8 TDCi that had the wet belts, and it was only from between 2008 and 2010, I believe. They put the wet belts in them. There was only a certain year range or chassis range, and it was only on the 1.8s. All the 2-litre diesels had a conventional cam belt. Steve, looking at the front, looking at the Ford site, the S-Max has an inflation kit. What? That means no spare wheel. Well, you know, you're right there. A lot of cars, they don't have a spare wheel anymore, do they? They have nothing. You're supposed to just call the RAC or the AA if you get a flat. Or they give you, some cars, they give you just one of them little pots of tyre inflation shit that you pour into it and hope it's going to seal your tyre. I guess if you hit a curb and put a great big rip in your sidewall, you're stuffed, aren't you? But yeah, a lot of cars do not have spare wheels anymore. If you've got a taxi, you really need a spare wheel. Didn't know Mark IV Mondi had a wet belt. The only Mark IVs that have a wet belt are the 1.8 TDCi between 2008 and 2010. You'd have to check with your Ford dealer with the registration number, with the parts department would tell you. If you gave them your reg number, they would tell you whether it's got a wet belt or not. But it's only the 1.8 TDCi. Yeah, Rob, the 1.8 and 2-litre TDCi has the wet belt. They're prone for snapping if not serviced regularly. It's only the 1.8. The 2-litre TDCi doesn't have a wet belt. The 2-litre was just a standard cam belt. The 2-litre has a cam belt and a chain between the exhaust and inlet cams under the rocker cover. And normally, if you change the oil properly, you won't ever have to bother about the chain. But the cam belt is 125,000 miles. But on the 1.8 TDCIs, they say the wet belt should be changed at 125,000 miles as well. Unfortunately, for the 1.8s, it's a bloody expensive job to change that wet belt. although you can convert the wet belt to a chain conversion. So that would be the way to go. It'd be a one-off job and that would be it, done. Never have to worry about it again. Thought the wet belt issue was just in eco booms. Unfortunately, they're putting wet belts in a lot of cars now. They've gone back to them. You look at all the Ford Transit customs they've brought out. They've all got wet belts in them. Yeah, the eco blues and all that. They've all gone back to wet belts. Expensive job to replace the wet belt. And they do go wrong. They do break or shed their teeth. I don't know why they've done it. They should have just put a chain in there and you'd never have to touch it. But nope, they've got to go down this wet belt route. I liked the Ford Transits and all that, but I would never buy one. I would never buy one simply for the fact it's got a wet belt in it. Alan, the taxi company I work for has over 5,000 taxis on the system. They have just bought 300 Nissan Leafs electric, but drivers can only get a 9-hour shift from a charge at £18 to charge. Yeah. I've heard the Nissan Leafs aren't the best cars for like distance. They don't look that bad, you know, but yeah, that's the trouble with electric cars, isn't it? You've got to, you can do a shift, you can do so much mileage or time, but it's like then you've got to charge it up. This is the problem. This is the problem of electric cars. It's the time spent while it's laid up. Dennis, hello, Alan. I hope you are well. Little off topic, but I have a few issues with my Mk5 which are not covered from your videos, and I would like you to have a look and rectify them. Also might be interesting. It depends what the issues are. Because I can tell you, I'm getting issues up to here with Mk5 Mondeos. Strange issues. ECU related issues is what I seem to be getting a lot of now. Video idea too. Ooh. It's all very well making a video. That's as long as you know what the end result is. You know what's going to happen. You know you're going to be able to come to the end of the line and you're going to resolve the problem. That's what it comes down to. There's hardly any hydrogen fuel stations. I've not seen one. The US are taxing solar. They'll tax anything. They'll sell it as free to start with, then they'll start taxing it. Hyundai Ioniq hybrid will be a good, yes. I have to agree with that one, that Hyundai. It is looking like a pretty strong contender. I've heard it's that car it's been a big deal for Hyundai. So it's well worth looking at. Good evening, everyone, from John Ison. Good Saturday evening. What is the time? Do you know what? It's nearly 10 o'clock. Guys, I'm going to have to call it off because a lot of you are going to be going over to Big Clive Live. So he's got a big channel and he normally has about 1,000 people watching him. So I only intended this live stream to last for about an hour and it's nearly bloody 2 hours now. So I'm going to have to sort of like call it a night. So Jay, it's not about the environment. It never was. Yes, you're correct. You are 100% right. It's all a big lie. You know, the world is going to end in 5 years, says Greta Thunberg. And then she deleted her bloody tweet, didn't she? Because it never happened. She should have just retweeted saying it's going to end in another 5 years. No, you're right. All the green bullshit and the climate alarmists, they're all full of shit. It's all crap. Yes, I know that. It's all a lie. It's all about this. That's what it's all about. Gary, keeping it keep it up. Love your vids. Well, thank you very much. Why just Ford? It's because the boss has always been a Ford man, right the way back from the Mark III Mondeos, the Mark IV and V, the Sierras. He's had Fords his entire life. He's had a taxi company his entire life, and he's had Fords his entire life. He's stuck with the Fords, you know. It's like a lot of people. You stick with one brand. You like what you have. You like the Ford brand. So that's just the way it was. Where there was a point we were verging on Vauxhalls or Fords, and we carried on with the Fords. So just the way life goes, really. No ULEZ tax on classic cars. Don't know about that one. Friday afternoon engines. Mr. Stephen Parry from Sunlight on the Wirral. Hello. Skoda Superb, as Guy said, or Peugeot 308 or 508. So were you off on your 4-week holiday? Nice to see you live tonight. Thank you. Like the way you help people with the problems. How the hell, Mr. Stephen, how the hell do you know I'm going on a 4-week holiday? That's what I want to know. Because you're right. But thanks anyway. Yeah, the next live stream I do will be from my 4-week somewhere. Well, it's actually not 4 weeks, it's about 3 weeks. The only reason I cut it to 3 weeks is that the kid's got to come back and do his exams for school. I'm going to get fined by the school, you know, for taking a kid out of school, but to take him away for you know what pisses me off is that the teachers can strike whenever they like. You know, at the moment they're striking right, left, and centre. That's okay. They can disrupt the kids' school learning because they want to strike for more pay and conditions. Yeah, if I take the kid out of school to go on holiday, I'm going to get fined. Bastards, that's all I can say. Hypocrisy. Anyway, Steve, thank you very much. Bless you. Jay, unless at the end of each day the government have a huge vacuum cleaner sucking the grass out of the sky, then where is the money going? I'll tell you where it's going. It's going £6 million a day housing all these economic migrants in hotels. That's where the money's going. Giving them like free mobile phones, free packs of cigarettes, free accommodation, free meals a day. When you've got homeless people, veterans and that, sleeping on the streets, they don't give a fuck about, but they'll bring in all these economic migrants who have got no right to be here, and they'll put them up in 4-star hotels, won't they? That's where the money's going. Probably a stupid question, but why not buy last run Mondeos? I don't know. I really don't know. I'm going to have to run that by the boss. I'm not sure you can still get them though, because I know that the Mondeos we had, they were built in Spain. Maybe. I think they were built in Spain, and they had to be, they were black originally. They had to be repainted red, believe it or not, because that was the colour we wanted. They had to be repainted. But I'm sure originally, all the cars we've got originally were black, and they were painted in Spain red. And they were to order, so they took time to get. Portugal, hello. I hope you're having good weather over there. I would like to be in Portugal right now, sunning it up on a nice beach. Not here in bloody England, which is freezing flipping cold. Our summer hasn't kicked in yet, nor is the bloody spring. Anyway, Roo, thank you for stopping by. Pleasure. What about Peugeot? Same engine as the Mondeo. We have over 200 Peugeot on our fleet, mainly the 1.6, somewhat 2-litre diesels, and someone. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There's so many Peugeots out there with so many numbers. It's flipping mind-boggling, isn't it? Yeah. I don't think we're going to go down that route. I think I don't know. I really don't know. It's getting too complicated now. When you look at Peugeots, I know what you're saying. It's the same engine, but it's the rest of it, isn't it? Peugeots are becoming more and more electrical and more problematic. Car CCTV. Hello from Southport. Hello. How are you doing? Brilliant. Guys, I'm going to have to call it a night. Wet belts, not a good idea. No, they're a shit idea. Who the bloody hell? It was an Italian company that made them bloody wet belts on the Mark IV Mondeos. Yeah, I can tell the story about it. The guys, when we started complaining about the belt snapping, they actually came over from Italy over to our garage to inspect the belts. So that's a story for another day. Peter, Peugeot Citroën AdBlue pumps are rather problematic, and it comes with the whole tank as a whole unit. Not on the cheap side. No, I do not like AdBlue. AdBlue is it's disgusting stuff, isn't it? You spill it on the floor and it starts growing across the floor, doesn't it? It's like it's like it mutates or something. And then it goes, you pour it into this tank and it's messy and you spill it everywhere and it's just shitty and horrible. And it's like, what's the point? Why don't you just take the DPF off the flipping car, just take it back to a normal diesel and be done with it? The world would be a better place. No, I don't like AdBlue. Horrible stuff. ULEZ, just yes, it's just to get money out of you and kill off businesses. London today, rest of the country, yes, it's going that way. Yeah. You know what? If you all go back to the 1970s, the world was a better place. Or 80s and 90s, world was a better place. But now it's just getting shit and shitter. Won't happen in many parts of country, only lefty woke cities. Yeah. Oxford is one of them, isn't it? CO2, 0.04% of air, 90% of this. Yeah. It's all one big cash grab. Yep, definitely. That's what it's all about. It's all about making money under the guise of saving the planet. Yes, I know it's all bullshit. It's all a big lie. And the thing is, more and more people are finally waking up to it. Unfortunately, not enough have. The people I come across that are still totally oblivious to what's going on around them is like mind-boggling. Peugeot 508. Hard worker. Oh, bloody hell. Hello. How do I find out if a 2020 Corsa has a wet timing belt? Corsa? I don't think they put. I don't know. You'd have to ask your part. I'll tell you how you would find out. You'd go to your. I thought all Corsas were chains, unless they've changed them. I don't know on about a 2020 model. I would phone up your Vauxhall dealer, ask for the parts department, give them your registration number, and ask them, is there a chain in there or is there a wet belt? That's how you'll find out for sure, because they'll know on their computer. Hello, Pete. Can you tell me what the point of an MOT is MOT if all our charging money for low emissions if a test fails due to emissions? What's the point? Hang on a minute. I'm a little bit drunk, Pete, so you're going to have to bear with me. Can you tell me what the point of an MOT if all our charging money for low emissions if a test fails due to emissions? Well, I don't know. This is the whole point. They're trying to get money out of everybody whatever way they can. So if it were down, you know, the diesel tests, the smoke tests, the catalytic converter tests. If you've got an electric car, it's not going to matter. It doesn't have an emission test. But if you've got a petrol car, it's going to have a catalytic converter test. If it fails the catalytic converter test, you're going to have to get your car fixed so it'll pass the test. The same for diesel. If you get too much smoke out the exhaust, you're going to have to get that sorted out so it passes the test. But it's not going to matter anyway, is it? Because they're going to charge you anyway. They're going to charge you for all this ultra low emission zones. And also, like I keep pointing out, in 2025, if you've got a zero emission car, they're still going to charge you. So if you've bought an electric car, you're going to get charged in 2025. Merry bloody Christmas. It's all about money. Nothing to do with saving the planet. They use that as a guise to get money out of you. That's what it all comes down to. A taxi is a utility vehicle. Should be simple yet comfortable and relatively eased. Yes, exactly. Spot bloody on. You're dead right. No frills, no spills. Just do the job and earn your money. It's a tool to earn your money. That's what it is. It's not a tool to sit there with all fancy screens around you and a million gadgets. It's a working car. It should be easy to work on and, you know, just have everything it needs to be a taxi. Leg room, space, luggage room, economy. Right, anyway, it is now just gone 10 o'clock. I'm going to have to call it a night, everybody. I'm sorry if I don't get to all your comments. When I'm no longer working anymore, I will pull a live stream and I'll just go on forever till you all piss off so bored that you'll just leave anyway. So and that might come sooner rather than later. So anyway, guys, thank you everybody for stopping by, for joining in this live stream. I'm a little bit sort of like tipsy now, but goddamn, that bottle of JD is good. And thank you whoever dropped this bottle of JD into the car sales today. I don't know who it was because I was not there. I got a message saying somebody who watches your YouTube videos has dropped a bottle of JD off. So I promptly got that collected so I could enjoy a glass of whiskey while I'm having this live stream. So thank you, whoever you are. You have to let me know. Send me a message or something. Drop a comment to say it was you so I can thank you personally. Anyway, I'm going to have to call it a day. I'm sorry I can't get to all your comments, but I'm too pissed now to carry on. So I'll be doing another one shortly. And as I said, the next live stream, I will not be in here in this kitchen. I will be somewhere else. So it's going to be an interesting one. And there was something I was going to... Oh, I don't think I can even do it now. Oh, I'll sort it out later. I was going to sort of like... No, forget it. Anyway, I'm going to call it a night, guys. Thank you ever so much to everyone who's joined in. Sorry if I can't get to all your comments. Next time round, when I've got more time, I will do. We'll go on for forever and a day till we get to the end of it. If Kevin was here, he would sit here and he would last it out until all the comments were answered. But I'm out of time. So I'm sure quite a lot of you will be going over to Big Clive Live, because I know a lot of people watch his channel. Anyway, thank you, everybody. I'm going to call it a night and hit the sack. So see you in the next one, guys. Thank you very much for all your input. It's much appreciated. Have a good one out there. Bye for now.